So this is the bush whisperer on the beach. My little boy in the background down there doing his thing. I don't know what the audio quality is going to be like, but I thought I'd just start banging out something here. The wind's a little bit disruptive. Sometimes the beach can become very windswept, so this might become difficult to hear. Though it's still beautiful. It's been raining and we're doing our morning sun gaze, sun watch with the grey clouds, and we forget the grey clouds don't conceal the sun completely. They just hide the appearance of the sun from us. For grey clouds are merely just water in the sky, and so there's something to consider. The polarizing diamagnetic effects of the water upon the sunrise and the sunlight can make it seem like it's gone, seem like you're not able to see the sunrise. Well, that's not entirely true. The sun is still there, it's still rising. There go the little penguins. You can see them in the background there. Beautiful little penguins. There they are, if you follow my finger. Look at where the finger's pointing. Don't look where I'm looking, look at where my finger's pointing. This finger, you see this finger? There they are. Beautiful little guys. Gotta love the penguins. Can't really switch camera over while I am doing this. Yeah, that takes a snapshot of my face. But so yeah, the realization that the sun is always present, and that the light of the sun, the electromagnetism, is still reaching us. Something we forget. Plants are still photosynthesizing even when the skies are grey. They might not be as productive as when the skies aren't grey, but there's a different kind of a productivity, to be fair with you. It changes the way in which plants photosynthesize, changes the frequency of light. And so the changes the frequency of light brings their own positive and negative effects to bear. And so what's the point of going out to watch the sunrise when it's raining and it's grey skies, you might ask? Well, I'm still seeing the sunlight even if I can't see that I'm seeing the sunlight. Hope that makes sense. The electromagnetic field is still stimulating those cells upon the eyes. Those cells that are essentially piezoelectric. Shall we go for a chocolate pancake, Josh? Eh?
How could we make cases for the house?
He's very interested in making doggy hotels. It's what he's been watching on YouTube. How to construct hotels for doggies. He saw a little film recently which was about doggy hotels. And so he's fallen in love with the idea of making hotels for the dogs. So he keeps constructing hotels for the dogs in the house. Children are amazing. The creative energy of a child's mind is unsurpassed. One cannot match that. The way in which they look at the world, especially my son. He's quite a raw, unformed block. I have been applying a bit of discipline to him, but not too much. I try and keep the discipline to a limit. Though discipline is needed in life. And that brings me back to the point of being out here to watch the sunrise. The discipline of making the effort to get out there and watch the sunrise means I'll bother to do it tomorrow. Even though it's been raining and I had to wait for the rain to stop so that I could get outside because I don't want my boy to get wet. It means that there's a sacrifice. And so in the spirit of sacrifice, there's always something to be gained. When we make a sacrifice from the heart, there is an internal gain. And I can still feel the vibrations of the sun through the clouds. In fact, the sky cinema becomes very much a part of the picture when the grey clouds are there. You see the moving field of water up above you in the sky. It's like a cinema screen. And because of the greyness, I find it's easier to see the prana. And seeing the prana is an etheric experience. It's when we attune our physical eyes to slightly different chemical reactions upon the optic nerve. And so the eyes are looking in a slightly different frequency to what we usually look upon the world. And this causes us to see the little dots everywhere. So when you allow your field of vision to just zone in, zone out, to zone in, one might see, it's almost like there's lots of tiny little moving dots. Looks like tiny, tiny specks, luminous specks, dots. And they seem to move in patterns. And if you look at a plant, you will see that it's more resonant, bless you, around a plant. And that the plants hold I'm looking at a plant right here. Beautiful plants. Absolutely gorgeous. Obviously I'm here in the penguin sanctuary. All the penguins are in their homes, doing their thing. Can you see this little one here? I think you can see the penguin here. Regardless, my little penguin friends. So when you look at the plants, you actually see a conglomeration of these dots, and they seem to be moving in more structured patterns. That's the life force, chi, pranic field, being bent and warped by the substance of life moving through the plant. For all things are living, and all things are an emanation of pranic field. So there's something to consider. If you're a sun gazer and you want to make the excuse that it's been raining, the grey skies, I don't want to get wet, don't want to get damp, it's cold, it's windy. What's the point of going out to watch the sunrise? You should try and do it every day. You should make an effort to do it every day. It attunes one to the life force principle, to the chi principle. And by attuning to the chi principle, we become attuned to the Shen principle. And the Shen is the divine spiritual counterpart of the life force, physical manifestation that we call chi, or that the Chinese schools call chi, or the Japanese schools call ki. And in the Vedic schools, they just refer to it as the various grades of prana. So prana is the essential emanation from which all things come, and it is the force of life. And all things are an emanation of the life force, which is why all things are under the domain of the consciousness field, which is why the Siddhi can control all things within the Maya of the manifestation of the physical reality. And the attunement to the sun is the attunement to the actual life force principle itself, to the way in which it becomes electrified, to the way in which photons emerge from the event horizon in order for our eyes to be able to appreciate the beauty and swim through the life that is abundantly around us and be bound by the forces of these life to the reality that we're enjoying. And so the discipline is the way of the shaman, is the way of the ascetic. Ascetic and shaman are not so far apart. Shaman is a very archaic and ancient form. And from this shamanic principle came various other schools of thought. I was on a live show and they were asking me what's the essential difference between alchemy and shamanism. And I was like, well, shamanism is a very archaic, ancient form of alchemy. And alchemy is an evolved form of shamanism, you could say. They've changed certain things and changed certain practices to certain degrees, but it comes down to the same reality. The attunement to the life principle in order to attain an altered state of consciousness so that one can reach a state of wholeness, health, and reveal the inner mysteries of life. That's the shamanic path. They are revealed through the process of the guides. The alchemists are being revealed through the processes of the God forms, or the revelation of the holy guardian angel in certain schools of inner alchemy. Golden Dawn, many schools refer to this process. The higher self is a term that has come about as a result of this concept. The higher self is fractaled, and the various fractaled nature of the higher self could be considered as the guides. And the shaman is attuned to these guides, living beings, living principles, and work with alchemy of self in order to produce alchemy within another human being. So we can see how all of these great schools of thought have evolved from the antiquities of shamanism. Shamanism being the first, the oldest, the most basic. But in its simplicity and in its basic application, one finds a certain amount of strength. When one creates a structure that's basic, it's a very strong structure. When one starts to create a structure that has much differentiation, one starts to gain many consequences as a result of that differentiation. And the consequences can bring good and positive results and weakening results. So life is totally dualistic and polarized. What you get, you lose. What you lose, you get. It all comes back down to the same thing at the end of the day. It doesn't really matter. So in terms of devotion to nature, the sun is the key, the primary devotional instrument. It attunes us with the life force within, and the life force within causes us to become aware of the plants and the animals around us because we're attuned to the life force coming out of the sun, the very life force that is the instrument through which consciousness is able to manifest here on the physical plane. And so realize next time that it's raining, if you can get a break in the rain or if you've got a good umbrella, don't waste the opportunity. Go out and watch a sunrise. You might not see the sun, but because you're staring at the sun, you will see the template of life force. Do you want to learn to see auras? You're going to learn to see auras when you go out and watch a sunrise in a grey sky. There's a secret, a shamanic secret. And shaman are able to attune to all the natural, subtle frequencies of being. And so they can see all of these realities through the eyes of the dreamscape. And by attuning to the dreamscape, one is able to attune to all the subtle frequencies around us, of sound, of smell, all 5 senses. Actually, all 6 senses, because the 6th sense is thought. And the thought encapsulates all the other senses, for we experience all the other senses as mental phenomena, decoded by the brain. So there's something to think about next time it's raining, next time the skies are grey, next time you're feeling a bit lazy. Dig deep down for the strength. Find the discipline within you. It won't guide you astray. And this is why the word disciple and the word discipline are essentially the same word, just different frequencies, different flows of the same word. The disciple has discipline. And when you practice the way of discipline, you become a disciple. Interchangeable terms, depends on how they're used in a sentence, essentially. So there's my 2 cents worth. You can hear the sea in the background. And I'm going to say so much love to all of you. Keep it real, keep it sweet. Om Shanti. Big bless.